What if the strongest version of you is the one no one ever sees? Not the one who shouts their growth online, but the one who dies silently in the dark, rewires their soul, and rises without a sound. That version exists, and you're closer to it than you think. This video will show you exactly how to dissolve your old identity, reprogram your energy through silence, and cross the invisible threshold into a version of you that the world hasn't met yet, but your soul already knows. We're not talking about concepts. You'll get practical rituals, internal signs of rebirth, and a clear path to emerge powerful without seeking validation. This is real transmutation, grounded, sacred, and silent. If you're ready to stop performing your evolution and start embodying it, subscribe now, because your new frequency is not waiting for applause. It's waiting for alignment. There's a kind of death that doesn't come with noise, tears, or ceremony. It arrives like dusk, quiet, creeping, unnoticed by the outside world. This is how the old self disappears, not with a scream, but with a whisper. Rebirth doesn't announce itself. It happens when no one's looking. Everyone talks about transformation, but true metamorphosis begins in the dark. Think of the cocoon, silent, still, yet holding the most violent alchemy inside. You're dissolving, piece by piece, into something no one else can see. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. Noise is often mistaken for power, but real power grows in silence. While the world seeks validation, the soul seeks depth. In this space, something ancient unfolds, an initiation without audience. Let the silence carve the shape of your new self. You don't have to explain the shift. In fact, you can't. This death isn't for the world to understand. It's for you to feel. When you stop defending the old self, its grip begins to fade. And when you're finally quiet, your soul starts to speak. Even better, silence becomes your mirror. In it, the stories, masks, and performances fall away. What remains is raw presence, untouched, unfiltered, awake. Your silence is not absence, it's alchemy in progress. Here's where most people get it wrong. They wait for the world to notice before they begin to change. But transformation is never for applause, it's for alignment. Like the seed buried in darkness, no one sees it grow, but it does. Pause and feel this for a second. The more invisible your shift, the more powerful its roots become. The most magnetic beings on earth are those who died in silence and chose to rise without noise. Like the butterfly, you don't need to prove your wings to anyone. You only need to fly when the time feels right. Don't rush to show the new self. Let it grow sacred and strong. If this is resonating, leave a like, right now, quietly but deeply. Now ask yourself, are you holding on to an identity that's already gone? What part of you is quietly dissolving beneath the surface? You don't need a witness. You need presence. The true transformation happens before the world even knows your name. And just when you think nothing's happening, a deeper self begins to rise, invisible, unstoppable, unapologetic. The death you feared was just a passage. But something else is about to surface, and it's not what you expect. You're not crazy. That sudden anxiety, the sabotage right before a breakthrough, it's not random. It's the ego, your old self, screaming on its deathbed, and it will do anything to stay alive. The ego fears one thing: silence, because in silence, it loses control. No distractions, no illusions, just the raw frequency of truth. When the ego shouts, the soul whispers louder. Have you noticed the resistance lately? Doubts appearing out of nowhere. Old habits crawling back when you thought they were gone. That's not failure. That's ego panic. Imagine a drowning man clutching driftwood in a storm. That's your ego clinging to identity, belief, emotion. But here's the thing, you're not the storm, and you're not the driftwood. You are the ocean beneath it all. Now let's go deeper. Recognizing the ego doesn't mean attacking it. It means observing it, like watching a shadow dance on the wall, and when you stop feeding it, it starves in silence. You were never lost, just layered in noise that wasn't yours. This is the beauty of awareness. You don't fight the ego. You watch it fade. You reclaim space without screaming for it. Here's a practice. Write a silent journal each time you feel resistance. No judgment, just observation. Your clarity grows where your reaction used to live. This is how emotional frequency begins to shift. Now pause. Can you feel that part of you still trying to survive? The one that hides behind excuses and tension? Comment below what your ego still tries to hold on to. Let's name it. Set it free. Because truth is, the old you isn't the enemy. It was a version trying to protect you, with outdated tools. But protection isn't presence, and you're no longer built to stay in survival mode. Suffering ends when you stop resisting the lesson hidden in the pain. You're not being attacked, you're being upgraded. This is not collapse, it's recalibration. And the next layer of your awakening is almost here. Silence isn't emptiness. It's the most fertile ground you'll ever stand on. The mind fears it because it can't control what grows there. But your soul has always known. This is where everything begins. Neuroscience is catching up with what mystics always knew. In silence, your brain enters states of regeneration. New neural paths emerge. When old noise fades away, the brain plus heart in coherence creates quantum space. Think of a quiet forest after a storm. Still, damp, but ready. That's your inner landscape when you stop running from yourself. Silence becomes your mirror. Let's bring this down to the ground. Try 1 minute of silence before every decision today. Not meditation, just stillness. You'll start to feel the gap where wisdom speaks. The reason this works? Because energy needs space to rearrange. And silence creates that space, vibrationally and emotionally. Every shadow you face is a doorway back to your power. You don't need a mountain retreat. You just need a pause, a breath, a micro-ritual. One quiet moment, repeated with presence, reprograms lifetimes. Focus plus emotion, creation, but silence gives them direction. Here's where most people miss the portal. They mistake stillness for stagnation. But in the dark, unseen worlds are being rewritten. If this unlocked something for you, share this video now. Someone needs this exact pause. What if you started your mornings in complete silence? No phone, no music, no rush. What would rise if the noise no longer drowned it? The next self is remembered in stillness, not built from effort. Because silence isn't passive, it's sacred action. It's the space where you shift from reaction to creation. It's the moment the field opens and listens back. But that's just the edge of what silence can awaken. You don't have to run away to find yourself. You just have to stop explaining yourself, not to others, but to your past. And when that explanation ends, a deeper presence begins. Emotional disappearance isn't abandonment. It's sacred withdrawal, a retreat into your own frequency. Like the tide, you pull back, not to vanish, but to return stronger. You don't let go to be empty. You let go to become sacred space. Silence is one thing, but choosing not to react, not to justify, not to perform. That's spiritual rebellion. And that's how you reset the entire energetic pattern. Try this. 7 days of emotional silence. No over-explaining, no defense, no story, just presence. Just breath, just vibration. You are not here to escape darkness, but to become the light that sees through it. It won't be easy, because the world thrives on noise and so does the ego. But when you hold your center in stillness, the field starts to shift. Presence doesn't need an audience, it needs space. This is when rebirth truly begins, not with applause, not with validation, but with the quiet knowing that something sacred just anchored in you. Take a moment right now. There's a journey waiting. The 7 portals of transformation are already calling. The ones who rise fastest are the ones who learn to vanish first, to unplug, to reset, to reclaim. You disappear not to hide, but to remember. And memory is power. You never really return to the world, you return to your frequency. That's why the old connections don't fit anymore. You're not broken. You've simply outgrown the performance, and the real stage is inside you now. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped proving yourself for 1 week? Would you crumble, or would you crystallize? There's only one way to find out, and something in you already knows the answer. Some victories don't leave marks. No spotlight, no celebration, just a quiet shift inside your chest. That's the real battle, the one no one knows you're fighting. You don't rise when they see you. You rise when you don't need to be seen. The ego wants to be praised for changing, but transformation that begs for applause hasn't rooted yet. You don't plant a seed and scream at it to bloom. You water it. You trust. You disappear. Now pause. Are you living your evolution or performing it? This is where the self-mastery begins. The invisible fight. The silent sword. The moment when no one's looking, and you still choose truth. The true transformation happens before the world even knows your name. This is the battle of the inner knight, the one who wins without swinging. Because the enemy is not out there, it's the echo of who you used to be. Here's a trap, seeking approval while you're still healing. The field senses that desperation. Energy leaks. Frequency fractures. You don't need recognition. You need coherence. Want to test if you've truly won? Ask yourself this. Can you sit in peace without telling anyone who you've become? That's the sign. That's the seal. Silence is your medal. The old self wants to tell the story, but the new self wants to live it. And that's how you know you've crossed the threshold. You already won, but you haven't realized it yet. Everything powerful begins in secret, like a ritual, like a vow, like a transformation the world's not ready for. Hold that victory inside like a sacred fire, and when the time is right, the field will mirror it back. But what if your greatest strength is still invisible, even to you? What if the real shift is the one you're not even trying to prove? Because maybe the old self's final trick is making you think you're still fighting. There's a moment where the old self fades, but the new self hasn't fully arrived. A liminal space, a sacred threshold, and most people get lost right there. The portal doesn't look like a door. It looks like discomfort, disconnection, delay. But those are the signs. The field is reshaping you. You never really return to the world. You return to your frequency. Some stay stuck between worlds, not because they're broken, but because they hesitate to choose. Crossing over means trusting what you can't yet explain. You don't need a witness. You need presence. How do you know you're ready? You begin to grieve a version of yourself you no longer want to protect. You feel strangely neutral about old dreams, and silence starts to feel like home. This is not abandonment. It's alignment. You're stepping into a vibrational reality your mind hasn't caught up with. The old world becomes static. The new one hums. The observer creates reality, but only when you're willing to see differently. Now pause and breathe. Are you looking back too often? Are you doubting what already changed within you? The portal doesn't wait for certainty. It responds to decision. Here's a practice. Close your eyes and visualize the moment after the crossing. How do you walk? What do you wear? What no longer lives in you? This is your vibrational passport. Identity is frequency. You are what you vibrate. Now write a silent vow. I no longer protect what no longer reflects. Say it. Mean it. Walk through. Share this video if you know someone standing at their own invisible portal. Because this is where the soul takes the lead. Not the logic, not the story, not the past, only energy, only direction, only light. And something deeper is already waiting across the veil. Creation doesn't start in light. It starts in silence, in shadow, in soil. Not everything that's sacred begins with clarity. Some of it begins with darkness that holds you like a womb. Let's break the illusion. Your shadow is not a flaw. It's your raw material. It holds your fire, your pattern, your blueprint for rebirth. Every shadow you face is a doorway back to your power. Silence grounds you. Shadow shows you. And the seed remembers what you forgot. Together, they rewrite everything, without anyone seeing. Think about this. A seed doesn't become a forest overnight. It sits underground, unseen, unpraised, but its destiny doesn't depend on visibility. Now let's talk about your past. You've been taught to bury it, to escape it. But what if it's the compost for your next evolution? You don't rise when they see you. You rise when you don't need to be seen. Here's the invitation. Take something painful from your story and turn it into a silent seed. Plant it vibrationally with intention. Let it grow in silence without needing proof. There's a ritual for this. Write your seed on paper. Burn it. Bury the ashes. This isn't magic. It's memory made sacred. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Pause and feel this. You're not weak for having shadows. You're powerful for facing them without flinching. Who else needs this truth? Share this with someone who's ready to plant in silence. Because when shadow, silence, and seed align, you become the new soil, the new myth, the new pulse. And what grows from there is beyond imagination, but never beyond you. Your new self isn't something you find. It's something you remember and choose to embody, not in front of others, but in the mirror of your silence. The next self is remembered in stillness, not built from effort. Let's go deeper. Identity isn't a label. It's a vibration. You're not who you say you are. You're what you hold, repeat, feel, and radiate. Imagine an invisible sculptor, alone in the dark. He's carving a masterpiece that no one sees yet. That sculptor is you, and the masterpiece is already taking shape. Most people rush to declare their evolution. But evolution that needs validation isn't rooted. You're not here to be impressive. You're here to be in integrity with your new frequency. Here's a question. Are you waiting for the world to treat you differently before you do? Because that's backwards. You must vibrate first, then reality reflects. Try this ritual. Write a letter from your future self to the you of today. Let it speak from a place of completion, power, clarity. That's your energetic instruction to the field. You were never lost, just layered in noise that wasn't yours. Peel it back. Let it fall. Choose again. Choose deeper. Choose silently. And this time, let the frequency speak louder than words. Now pause. Who are you really when no one is watching? Who would you be if you didn't need to be understood? You don't let go to be empty. You let go to become sacred space. That space is open now. Are you ready to step into it? Rebirth doesn't always feel like fire. Sometimes it feels like disinterest in who you used to be. You don't explode into a new self. You quietly stop fitting into the old one. You never really return to the world. You return to your frequency. So let's name the signs. You start craving silence over stimulation. Your body reacts to old environments like they don't belong anymore, and your mind no longer seeks to prove anything. These are not coincidences. They're vibrational confirmations, proof that the shift already occurred. Even if the world hasn't noticed yet, you begin to forget the urgency of your former goals. You start releasing conversations halfway through. There's no anger, just a soft, sacred detachment. You don't need a witness, you need presence. Even your relationships shift. Some dissolve, some return in new forms, but the gravitational pull of your past weakens. And that's how you know your inner field has changed. There's also a softness that rises, not passivity, but grace. A deeper strength that doesn't need to dominate. A quiet certainty that hums beneath your skin. You might even feel lonely. Don't misread that. That's not absence. That's space. Room for the new frequency to fill in. Rebirth is not loud. It happens when no one's watching. Look at your life right now. What's missing might actually be what's complete. What feels distant may have already served its purpose. You're not falling apart. You're falling into alignment. Now ask yourself with honesty, what part of your life no longer fits the you that's quietly emerging? The answer will not shout. It will whisper, and it's already doing so. In your silence. This path you're on, it's irreversible. Not because you can't go back, but because you no longer fit there. You walked too far into your own becoming. You never really returned to the world. You returned to your frequency. Imagine a bridge that quietly catches fire behind you. No explosion, no drama. Just a subtle scent of smoke that tells you that version of you is already ash. The old world may try to call you back. Through habits, through people, through memories. But the echo will feel faint because you've changed your channel. You're tuned to a different frequency now. And here's the thing. There's no grand finale. No moment where everything suddenly makes sense. Just this subtle, steady unfolding of presence. Everything powerful begins in secret. That's the beauty of the invisible path. It's not about performing transformation. It's about living in coherence with your vibration, without needing permission, proof, or praise. Now pause and reflect. Do you still act like you're waiting to return to who you were? Because that door no longer exists, and your soul knows it. Suffering ends when you stop resisting the lesson hidden in the pain. This is the final truth. You didn't lose yourself. You lost who you thought you had to be. And that was your liberation. So here's your silent invitation. Live as if you've already crossed, because you have. And the fire that burned the old bridge, it didn't destroy you, it crowned you. And yet, there's still one more mystery to unfold. Not behind you, not ahead of you, but right now where your breath meets your becoming. And what's rising next might just change everything. Now you know, your transformation doesn't need noise. You don't have to announce it. You just need to embody it. In silence, in presence, in frequency. This journey showed you how to let go of your old self without fear, how to cross a vibrational portal with no map, only trust. And more importantly, how to start living from a new identity that doesn't ask for permission to exist. So if this video lit something in you, subscribe now and leave a like, because this space is for souls like yours. In the comments, write this phrase to affirm your rebirth. Silence is how I rise. And if someone you love is stuck between who they were and who they're becoming, share this with them now. They might be closer to the crossing than they realize. Next step in your journey? Now that you've remembered how silence transforms you, watch the video where I reveal the 7 portals of transformation that complete your energetic shift. It's already calling you.